This is going to be exciting.
It always is when I get to talk to you about this homeschool stuff. I know nothing. I know nothing. So this is
Yeah,
this is
this is
learning.
fun because we get to I'm talking about the stuff I do every day, and so this is fun. The hardest part is that I only have like 15 minutes, and so it's like
Yeah, well, you'll have plenty more opportunities to give more 15 minutes.
yes, that's true.
Yeah, so
That's
we're just biting off a little piece right now.
little bites. And so, hi everyone. Thank you for joining. Good to see you all. We see everyone joining now. And so happy that you joined us tonight. For those of you who might be joining us for the first time, I'm Delise. And this is Dee. Hold on, which side? This is Dee.
I'm here. Hi.
And so we are on our second night of talking about the questions you need to consider when you're thinking about homeschooling. When we want to start, I want to say that Dee, we are in what looks like the same shirts, but they're different shirts. We have many of these. So those of us who saw us last night, we have changed our
shirts. We're not sharing shirts. We have more than one.
Yes, and so we wanted to make that very clear that we're wearing different shirts from yesterday. And we're grateful for people who are purchasing them. We have someone from the group who purchased six shirts. And so I hope you enjoyed them. Maybe she's handing them out like as gifts.
I think I have to borrow one from her for all these lives.
Yeah, so I homeschool for all of our quarantine schoolers, our surviving homeschoolers, our pandemic homeschoolers. So we are wearing different shirts. And also, Dee, I was checking and we had almost 900 views on our
that is crazy. Yesterday. Yeah, that's great. So our community must be sharing. Something's happening. Whatever you're doing, keep doing it because we want as many people as possible to actually get access to this information so they can help their households in the decision to whether or not they're going to homeschool or not. So keep doing whatever you're doing.
So today we're talking about, again, the top 5 questions you need to think about when you're considering homeschooling. Yesterday we talked about why. So why do I want to homeschool? And we talked about how your why will be determined by your convictions, that it is your foundation. And that it's actually your motivating factor, especially when those hard times come and you're frustrated and you're exhausted and you're feeling done, that when we know what our why is, that's the thing that allows us to keep pushing.
Yeah, so I was actually thinking a little bit more about this last night in that discussion we had about conviction. While we've been home, we've been forced to learn to do a lot of things that weren't part of our normal routine. Whether it is, being our own hairdressers. You remember me saying I have 3 boys. I would have had to learn how to cut their hair just to, maintain because everything was shut down. But when things go back to normal, I'll be able to then visit the hairdresser. I'll be able to send the boys to the barbershop. And, whenever I don't feel up to it, doing it myself, that's a choice, that I can make at that point. But homeschooling, I think, is going to require a different type of conviction because after you've invested and made that decision that you're going to homeschool, you can't just up and decide one day that you're going to send them to public school because now you have, taken on that role of being that person to develop and take control of the curriculum and the, whatever that child is going to be taught. So I'm interested, putting together yesterday's why. And then today we're going to talk about when. So it'll be interesting to put together, how the when kind of connects to that why. So let's get started. What do you think, Delise, about this when topic?
So the when question. So you're considering homeschooling, but the next question that you really need to get a clear answer on is when exactly am I going to have time to homeschool? Like, when is it supposed to take place? While some people do have that flexible work schedule or the ability to stop working, right, and to completely take on this task of homeschooling, others are going to be asking yourselves, like you asked yourselves right when we came into this quarantine, So in the midst of all that I have going on, when exactly am I supposed to fit homeschooling in? Or as some of my friends would say, who's got time for that? So this is also, maybe Dee might have said that to me.
I probably did say that to you.
But this, this is also a lifestyle question because, the when you're talking about when am I going to have time for that, it's also about, is my lifestyle and my finances, right? Let's get real. Are my finances and my lifestyle set up in such a way that I can make this work, that I can make this type of commitment? Or if my why is so strong, right, that I want to homeschool, can I actually create a different lifestyle where I can actually fit homeschooling in?
Yeah, so this is a good topic because, over the past 2 months, there's been so many things compiling all of our responsibilities that it doesn't feel like we have any more space in the when. I know for me, working, I don't work for myself. I work for a company. So there are core business hours, and a lot of those core business hours overlap with school hours. So it's been very difficult trying to do my work commitments and also do my children's school commitments, because I have no control over when those teachers are going to plan those Zoom meetings or those Google Classroom or Google Hangout chats. Both my kids' education and my career are very important to me. So during the past 2 months, I've been forced to find the time, the energy, and also the mental capacity. And I think I had that ability to find that mental capacity because I knew this would not be long term. So in some ways, that was my why. Knowing that I had to do this for my kids and that it would only be for a short period of time.
Exactly, right? And the good thing is that this quarantine really forced many folks to find that time, right? Like you said, before this, you had life, right? You had work 9 to 5 or, 8 to 6. And, having to come in shelter in place, we were forced to really rearrange our schedules, realign some priorities, step back and make some different assessments, maybe in terms of, your, well, is this schedule working for my child? Is this is this important for me? And so it showed us that when we are literally thrust into homeschooling, we do have the capacity to make it work. And so, but for those who will no longer be working from home in the fall, right? And so you have we were able to make it work. To your point about something temporary, we were able to make it work. Part of what allowed us to make it work is that everybody was home. But come the fall, many people will be forced to go back to work in a facility outside of their home, potentially.
It's not just happening in the fall, at least they're starting to send people back to work now. FYI, go ahead.
Yes. Let me be right. Yeah, and we were talking about that on Surviving Homeschool today too, right? A lot of folks are being that the shelter in place is expiring for many people. Mm-hmm. Absolutely. So for those who are thinking about homeschooling in the fall and will be back at work during that time, or other responsibilities, right? For those who are going to go back to being a primary caregiver, if anybody's in the sandwich generation, or for those who are just going to feel the full weight of their normal life post quarantine, the really wrestling with when am I going to fit in homeschooling is a huge consideration.
Yeah. I'm still not 100% sold. Like,
okay. So when are you going to fit in homeschooling? I'm glad you asked.
Yeah, I asked you that.
So the great thing is that there are many options for those busy working parents like yourself who have a desire because they have a strong why, who have a strong desire to homeschool. Yeah, obviously it's going to require people to think a little differently about when and where that homeschooling can take place, where it would happen. It may also require you to give your child, again, of age, a level of independence that you may be wary to give. It may also require you to seek outside help. It may also require you to change up the lifestyle a little bit. But I do have a lot of friends who have very full lives, full of responsibilities outside of the home that also homeschool their children.
So,
I'm giggling because I'm looking at the people's responses and their faces, and we can see them. I think they look like yours, Dee.
they give you the face like. So what you're really trying to say is, you have people that you know, like real people that you know, that work full time outside the home and homeschool. That's what you're saying, Delise?
Yeah.
Okay, so you got the receipts for that?
No, I do. I do have receipts. Now,
as long as you got the receipts.
I do. I have receipts. And let me be clear, because I see Candace's comments. I see a lot of folks' comments, and we're going to get into those in the private group. But yes. Do I think it's realistic for every situation? Absolutely not. Do I? And that is there's just a lot of considerations. For example, like Candace mentioned, age and maturity of a child. Could you leave your parents, two parents outside the home? Can you leave a 2-year-old at home or a 5-year-old at home to school at home? Not without certain levels of support, right? So there's a lot of things to consider. It also, whether or not this is realistic depends on what state that you live in, because some states don't allow a parent to outsource the full educational responsibility, but some do. And so you have to know what's permitted in your state. It also matters if there's a need for support services, like those with different learning abilities, or those who might be on the autism spectrum, or maybe just those who have a variety of other special needs, right? Those are things that you would have to consider. So I don't necessarily think it's realistic for every situation, but I can tell you that I do know people who homeschool autistic kids. I do know people who have figured out how to homeschool when they have younger children in the house, and homeschool and work when they have younger children in the house. I do know folks who have figured out how to make it work. And obviously we can't get into all those examples and questions on the live, but in that private group, I promise you, I'll bring my receipts. I'll bring my friends who are working. I'll bring my friends who are working and homeschooling. We'll talk to a single mother, who is homeschooling her child. We will talk to homeschooling dads to get their perspective on how this is working for their family. And so we will talk to people who have full lives, who have full responsibilities outside of the home, and who are making it work because they figured out their win, and the variables, how to put together their win.
Okay, Delise. I'm coming around. I'm excited about the exposure that this month-long workshop is going to give to not only myself, but others in my position, or people in our community that work, and want to explore the option of homeschooling, and getting the opportunity to get into the weeds of some of the issues right in our private group. So hopefully there'll be some Zooms and all that kind of stuff where we can interact more face-to-face with the community in the private group. Also, we want to thank, and I please forgive me if I pronounce her name wrong. I'm very particular about names because people get my name wrong too. But thanks to Laketria, last name starts with F, for being our very first person to sign up for our private group. And because you did that, you are going to receive a special gift from Surviving Homeschool. So check your mailbox soon. During the workshop, we will have real conversations, as Lee said, including weekly video calls via Zoom. So not just Facebook Lives, but you'll be in a Zoom, just like a classroom or forum, right with us. And you'll be able to walk away with specific information you need to decide, is homeschooling right for me? We'll be getting together weekly on these private calls, and in the smaller private group, it will allow us to answer your specific and individualized questions and give you a peace of mind about your decisions. And Delise is going to provide receipts for everything that she says. Promise. we can, receipts expire in 30 days. What did they say, 90 days or something like that? Okay, I'm gonna check those receipts. We can delve deeper into those questions and quell some of the innermost fears. A lot of us have a lot of fears when people say homeschooling. So hopefully in those discussions, we'll be able to quell some of those fears and apprehensions that people have when they even hear the term homeschool.
Absolutely. And I see some folks on the live talking about hybrid learning. My youngest daughter is in a hybrid learning environment, and so I highly believe in that. So that'll be one of my receipts. You already named it. One of my receipts is that hybrid learning works, which is essentially when they go to a traditional kind of school environment for 3 days out of the week, and they're homeschooled the other two. And then there are supports around that. So my youngest is in that environment. My other two are in homeschool cooperatives in a traditional sense. And so, yes, we will be talking about the hybrid school option for those of you who may want to learn more about that. For the private workshops and our conversations on Zoom, I'm really excited about those because I don't have to talk as fast. And I get to really get into the weeds, about these issues and your concerns. Like Derek mentioned, those fears, can I do this? Am I going to mess this up? Is my kid going to drop back 5 class levels? We'll talk about those types of things. And to sign up, it's very simple. We have it at tiny.cc/surviving homeschool. I will also put it into the comments on this live on the group, but it's tiny.cc/surviving homeschool. So we'll see you hopefully on that private group, but we'll also see you tomorrow as well, because we'll be talking about our question number 3 when you're considering homeschooling. Is homeschooling right for me? So we've talked about why do I want to homeschool? We've talked about when am I going to actually homeschool? And then tomorrow we're going to be talking about what? Dun, dun, dun. What? No, y'all already know. We're going to be talking about what about socialization?
That's important.
That's important. Yeah. So the what question, we'll put it out there tonight. What about socialization? Invite all your friends because that's what they're all interested in asking about. What about socialization? So we're going to get into socialization tomorrow. So we hope to see everyone again tomorrow. 15 minutes on live. We enjoyed this.
It's fun.
So much fun. And we'll see you in the comments. So we'll hop off this and hop back into the comments, and we'll see you there.
Definitely. See you there. Thanks, everybody.